into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Yes. Hello, folks. Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's recap of Modern Family. This is the season premiere of Modern Family. I actually wrote on that board season 0 and then forgot what year, and then thought I was going to look it up and change it, and then did not. Okay. So it's season... If I graduated college in 2010, it was the year before that, so it would be season 5 or 6. Probably season 6.
Most importantly, it's episode 1.
Yeah, episode 1.
It's 10. It's 10.
Ah.
Or 6.
6. I was there. Season 6.
Yeah.
Season 6, episode 1. The Long Honeymoon. I'm Steve Kaufmann.
And hey guys, I'm Jessie Owen.
And that was a long segue to just getting to introduce us. Really good episode. How'd you think of it?
As always, it was cute. It actually teaches you a lot of lessons.
Oh yes, and it all comes together. Literally, they're all in the same room at the end of the episode, which is always fun.
It almost makes you like so jealous because in real life, like, yeah, it shows their ups and downs, but no families are really like that to a T. Like, it's if they are, they're hiding something.
Well, yeah. I mean, if they did a show about a typical family, it would be a lot of divorce and wouldn't be a very happy time. This is a very typical happy family. A typical happy, like, I was about to say unbroken, but, you know, everyone's still unbroken in the sense that everyone still visits with each other every week. I'm from a family that did that for a long time. Like, that still exists.
Well, I mean, my family, we all love each other, but we are not afraid to tell each other we don't like you in the moment.
Oh, I am also from that type of family as well.
Well, good.
Or at least half of that type of family. Before we get into it, you said you had news and gossip. We want to do that first, I guess?
Oh, no, we can save it for the end.
Oh, we'll save it for the end. Then we'll jump right in. We'll start with Cam and Mitch. Last season, we ended with them being married. And in the 3 months in between, they had a honeymoon. And then we're joining them.
The honeymoon period has not ended, basically.
At least for Mitch. He was just, nope, we're going to keep doing this.
You know, I can kind of see both sides of the story. Cam was expressing that, you know, he didn't want it to end. He didn't want that happiness because it is true. When you're in relationships, you get, you know, it starts off really great. You're in the honeymoon phase, and then it goes to, you know, everyday life, everyday struggles, everyday stresses, like, and then you kind of drift apart. But then they had the wedding to go back and like bring that romance in. So it was kind of nice that, you know, they got to have that again because a lot of people, they end up ending during that, you know, like you said, divorce and other things. So it was nice to see that. And it's also kind of like a reminder that you can't let your romance fade.
Oh, you can't let your romance fade. And that actually came back a little. With the Jay and Gloria storyline. But with Cam and Mitch, what I really enjoyed about this is that Mitch is just incredibly overbearing. That's part of his personality. And then Cam runs into his sister and says, I have to say something, right? And she's like, no, you can't ever tell an overbearing person they're overbearing because they'll be overbearing about the fact you told them they're overbearing.
Well, and also it's kind of like I've been in a situation similar to this where, you know, someone's very, very nice and you get all the nice things at first and then you don't appreciate them as much. And then when they're gone, you're like, oh, I wish I had that back. Oh. So, you know, what's her name? Claire had a really good point about that. Don't bring them down because then they'll never want to do it again.
Oh, yeah. And then you're going to want that. It's going to be nice. But at the same time, you can't show up to work parties where no one brought a spouse or a friend.
Right. That is a little crazy. And I think Cam handled it in a way he shouldn't have. But, I mean, he is very sensitive. you know. So I think I don't know. That is kind of crazy to show up at somebody's work.
They had him go to such an extreme that you had to agree with Cam, where you're like, I mean, it's one thing he's a little overbearing in private and he's just being affectionate and lovey. It's another thing, it's like in front of everyone where it's just not appropriate. Where it could, like, the issue could have just been like, hey, I love you to death and I love everything you're doing in this honeymoon phase, but like, this is inappropriate for my job.
Right. One thing I've definitely learned is that you have to give people space.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. You can't be controlling. I think it surprises me that Mitch isn't more like that, because it seems like control, but also Cam needs to be in control too. You have two controlling personalities. Mm-hmm. So it's weird to me that Mitch kind of pushes him away, but
yeah, you know. I guess that's how, if you grow up that way, just kind of suppressing your feelings, that when it's just overbearing, you're just like, no, I need you to stop. But then my favorite scene of this was in the third act, where it was all in the third act where like he says, hey, you should leave this party, and then he comes back to the house and the house is just rigged with more and more like just rigged with more and more stuff for this elaborate celebration.
But it's so sweet though when you think about all the gestures. Like have you ever had someone do anything like that for you, like little bitty cutesy things? Like, I don't think I've ever had anyone do something like that for me.
I've had things go really far that way with a joke that I appreciated. Right. Like, I'm from Philadelphia, and at one point I had gotten laid off from a very good job, and I was just doing a lot of work in between. And one of the jobs I found was they were an auditing company that they needed people to go to everywhere in the city, including really bad neighborhoods in Philadelphia, and audit the vending machines, which literally means show up, look at what they're selling, write it down, and then leave. And that was the job. And one morning I was telling all my friends that I was like, oh, this morning I have to go to like a terrible part of Philadelphia. And a friend of mine who drove for a medical supply company was like, what part? And I literally told him where, and he was like, you shouldn't do that for this job. Like, that's a terrible place for you to be. And I was like, no, it'll be completely all right. And then I go, and we all have poker that night. And I show up early to poker, and what I find is that it's the yearbook opened, because we went to high school together, to my page with a rose in it, and then an iPod with my Facebook wall on shuffle, just all the pictures, and then Time of Your Life playing.
Oh, that's kind of creepy, though.
But it was fun. I thought it was very funny, and it plays into that idea that it was just like, well, I appreciated the above and beyond of the joke.
That's really funny, though, and kind of sweet that they took the time to do that.
I say they. It was one person.
Oh.
It was one person who thought it would just be a hoot.
Still, that one person thought you were important.
I was, and to be fair, I was the one person who appreciated the joke. But within the joke, I was like, but you were just gonna leave a mural where I was sitting and then keep playing poker? And they're like, yeah.
It's funny.
When you wanted it that way, I was like, I think you'd mourn, right? Like, that's how we'd mourn. Like, oh.
Yeah, that's
now
different.
I feel weird.
Speaking of appreciation, how do you feel about how everyone's treating Alex? Like, how she's kind of like the black sheep, and how it turns around at the end.
It's one of those things that, like, I've been that person before where you just show up somewhere and things go bad by no fault of your own, but things are going bad, where it's like, I don't, like, speaking of how I play poker a lot, I also deal a lot of casino games, and by that virtue play a lot of casino games. And at a craps table, that happens, where people will just show up and everything will just go wrong.
Yeah, I think that's everyday life. I think everybody has those days where they just feel like everything's going wrong for them. But I think it was really, really funny how, like, they were like this peaceful, happy family, and butterflies were coming in, and then all of a sudden Alex shows up and everything goes bad. Bats start flying in. But once again, another nice little story at the end where we find out that Alex really is the one who holds the family together, and she prevents a lot of bad things from happening, and they're just not realizing it because they're just living
in this blissful life,
not really having to deal with any consequences.
Well, and there's probably a gas leak they didn't know about, so of course they're in a great mood, because they're all just
they're all high and about to die, and they're eating poisonous leaves. I did not know. I've never made a rhubarb pie. I don't think I've had rhubarb.
I would be unaware.
I don't think I ever. Does it have to do with plums? Like, I've only heard of it. I'm not really sure.
I will Google it after the show. I'm very curious.
Well, they kept going. Phil kept saying, "I'm eating plums. These are the best plums."
It's probably at the same farmer's market where it's like, ooh, plums, and it is amazing. Like, oh, like, just great plums. That's such a Phil thing. Where it's just like, my life is perfect because I'm working on my magic act, and plums.
That's so.
That's
so funny.
Such a simple and awesome life.
So, like, they're all together as this happy family. How long do you think Haley and
Alex?
What's Alex? See, I already forgot her name. I'm sorry, girl. How do you do you think that they'll ever leave the house, and will it ever just be Claire and Phil? Because I understand that she's like, well, at least Haley. Isn't Alex still in high school?
Yeah, Alex is still in high school. I'm pretty sure Haley will not be leaving the house for a very long time. Like, I think that's kind of set in stone. That, like, because maybe the blog will get to a point where she might leave the house and, like, buy an apartment. But we've already had that story where she went away to college and was just incredibly irresponsible.
But she was also really young. I think there comes a time when kids need to go out, and unless they're like in a degree like med school where it's kind of hard to have a job, and if you have your parents' support and you can stay at home, that's, you know, all the more power to you. But if you're trying to be an adult and you're trying to get out there, I think it's good to, you know, get that responsibility and get out on your own. I don't think it's healthy to stay at home with your parents all the time.
I didn't leave the nest until I was like 25.
Well, actually, were you in like school?
I actually left twice. 18, graduated high school, went to a community college, was in a community college for a year, moved away and worked for Disney World for a year, came back, went back to that community college. I was in that community college for another 2 years. I was at a university for another year, became an RA at that university, left for another year, and then graduated that university and floundered for an entire other year before I moved out here.
Okay, but still.
So I came home twice.
You were never not in school or doing something. Haley is not in school.
Yeah. No, I had a year.
Is she? Is Haley in school still? I'm pretty sure I thought she dropped out.
Pretty sure she dropped out.
Yeah,
and
she's got this blog going on. And for one, can we say that we don't even know if the blog is like actually really good and doing good? Because we find out in the end that her webcam was just on and everyone was getting a show.
Well, I could imagine if 60,000 is the number you get because you keep your webcam on all the time. Her blog would normally do 20,000 maybe, just because, I mean, it's the internet.
But like I said, we still don't know how many views were because of the blog and how many were because you were getting to see, you know, all different kinds of fetishes. You had the sloppy fetish, you had the MILF, you had the younger daughter.
You had the DILF,
and then
that's a thing.
You even had like the funny, like it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious when Haley was singing Caribbean Dream and she was like choking. Like those are like priceless moments. So I love the candids at the end.
Oh, those candids at the end were great. Also, apparently DILF is a term now.
It is. It definitely is.
The DILFs of Disneyland.
I actually have a shirt that says that.
Is it I thought the term just started like this week.
Has that been a thing
for a very long time?
I've had this shirt since 2004.
Okay, then that's, if anyone wants to know how behind I am on terms, it's
okay. It's okay. Nothing wrong
10 years. A whole decade on terms. Well, because the DILFs of Disneyland was the thing that just launched this week.
Oh.
That there's pictures of dads at Disneyland that are just insanely attractive, but they have kids. And
I've never been to Disneyland.
I want to say that's an Instagram. It's an Instagram full of just dads at Disneyland.
That's interesting.
Speaking of Disneyland, I like Disneyland. And if you like this podcast or you're watching my face right now, you can hit up like on YouTube. You could subscribe to us on YouTube. You can leave a comment. Give us a 5-star review if you think we're worth a 5-star review. And that's what helps us get sponsors. And that's what helps us get guests in this chair and all that fun stuff. I just got to get that out of the way because it's on the board. And that's because it's on the board.
Just
and
your job.
I do what the board tells me to do. And we move on to Jay and Gloria, which actually
is our final topic.
Our final topic. And it actually mirrors Cam and Mitch a lot in the idea of affection of each other, but in a different way.
Yeah. And it really shows the importance of taking care of yourself because, Gosh, it's so bad that I have so many of these stories relating to my past relationships, but it's true. You get so comfortable with someone and you don't feel like you have to try as hard because, I mean, think about it. In the beginning, you're like really getting dolled up. But I mean, even so, like when I would go out, I would still, you know, dress up and stuff, but not an everyday thing, which she does make a point because every time we see Gloria, she always looks fabulous. Like you never really see her not looking good, which. But
so much so that you think that that's just her.
Well, some people are like that. They will not leave their bedroom until they're dolled up. But I mean, I do think it's also nice to also get the natural side of you.
Oh,
but not on it all the time. Like if the first thing you do, like I'm guilty of in the past, putting your sweatpants on and just leaving that on all day, then it's like, come on, girl, get some spice in your relationship.
Are they nice sweatpants?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they're sweatpants. I mean, they're from high school. They're baseball.
Okay. Although apparently yoga pants are in, I'm told.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of girls who just live in their yoga pants. We're like, these are in now. I can just wear these all the time.
No. See, that's what we're trying to avoid. You want to keep your relationship spicy and like dress up so your man or your woman has a reason to say, "Hey, you look good today."
I agree with that. I always feel presumptive if I would ever have to say that to someone. Like if I'm in a relationship with someone, because I'm like, because as a man, I'm the least attractive of the species. Like I have to do next to nothing. Like I literally have to brush my teeth and shower, and I'm good because I'm a guy. That's all a guy really has to do.
No, it's all about your outfit and your confidence and.
Oh, that would explain a lot why I don't have anything going on. Where it's like in my mind, like it's. But I understand the idea of a woman should, but I think there's a happy balance. There's a happy balance, but I think Gloria's the type to just never not be looking amazing. And
I think for the show, but I don't know. Maybe Miss Sophia, you know, maybe in real life she likes it a little natural. I love her. Like, I think she brings a lot of life to the...
Oh, she's great. I actually saw her in... It was the Jon Favreau movie. It was called Chef. It just came out on Blu-ray recently. She was very good in that. That was also a very good movie. It was about just... Jon Favreau was a guy who was a chef at a restaurant. A critic destroys him on the internet. And then he tweets back at him thinking it was a direct message, but it was actually to the world. And he got just in this huge flame war, and then he wound up starting a lunch truck.
Gosh, that's another moral lesson that, you know, don't leave your webcam on. Don't accidentally tweet the world things that you don't want the world to know. So
don't put your photos in the cloud.
So basically on this episode of Modern Family, we have learned to keep your relationship alive by not letting go of yourself and to not smother somebody and to not leave your webcam on.
All important life lessons to know. Also that the leaves on rhubarb are poisonous.
Yes.
That's actually important information that I was unaware of.
I'm not sure I'll ever eat one, maybe one day, but
now I know.
Sometimes stay away. Don't eat a leaf, okay? Unless it's lettuce.
Sometimes I get really adventurous. I go to the farmer's market and just like, I'm going to make a pie with this and that and this, or I'm going to make a juice. Or it's good to know that rhubarb leaves are dangerous because I wouldn't necessarily think about that.
Life lesson, literally, because you could have died.
You could have.
Well,
so let's move into predictions, I guess.
Or news and gossip. Or we can do predictions,
Predictions,
whatever.
then news and gossip. It's our show. Our pace.
Let's do predictions. I would like to predict that Haley's blog will take off. I want to have hope that it'll take off. And she can go out into the world kind of like a what's some, where people go off. Like, she'll get famous, kind of like how, what's that girl's name? Rachel on Glee, how she, like, went to New York and she became famous. I don't know. I think that she'll, like, do something big.
Or that
like
girl who
fashion.
has a Dr. Pepper commercial, because she does a video, or she does instructional videos on how to just make up your face. I don't remember. I don't know her name either. But that's a very prime example of someone who just, let's produce content on the internet on my own pace. And then now Dr. Pepper's paying me a bunch of money.
Well, maybe, and then things will look up for the Dumfies, and you know they'll get rich. I don't know. We'll see. We will see.
I think Gloria is going to get a job.
Wow, that's a big prediction.
That is a bold prediction. I just think that would be a wonderful place to send her. That just she'll get antsy at home and just. I think I need to start working.
I don't know. I kind of have to disagree. I think she kind of likes being at home and being the homebody. But we didn't see Baby Joe this episode.
Not at all.
So I don't know. Maybe she'll start doing Mommy Joe play dates or something. I don't know.
That would be. She starts running a nursery out of the mansion.
Oh, that would be weird. All right. Well, do you want to go into news and gossip?
Let's go into news.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, guys. So a lot of people already probably know that the girl that plays Sarah Hyland, she plays Haley. She had to file a restraining order against her ex-boyfriend. Apparently, he choked her. He called her the nasty C word. Basically, he has to stay at least 100 yards away from her and her dog. I loved how he said her dog, too. And it was quoted that she said his grip was so tight I could not breathe or speak. And the Julie Bowen, who plays Claire, she actually helped break up the fight, got him away. Apparently he went kind of crazy whenever she confronted him about breaking up. It's really crazy. That's never fun to be in an abusive relationship.
No.
And I feel for you, girl, and I'm just glad that she was able to get out of that and, the restraining order. Let's hope that goes into effect, because a lot of people are crazy. But I was reading, and I'm pretty sure that the guy she was dating was actually a guest star, like, on the show, like where they went to Disneyland or something.
What's that? Was it the guy like from the first like 3 seasons? Was it him?
I don't remember. I didn't.
Yeah.
I just saw that he was in one of the episodes.
Oh, wow.
But regardless, she seems like a really sweet girl. Like I've met her once in real life, and I just think she's really seems really sweet and really down to earth, and it really sucks that she has to go through that.
It's really good that like when to call it quits, because sometimes people in abusive relationships are in them very privately and feel trapped.
Yeah, and some people stay in them forever.
Yeah, that for better or worse, it's good that it happened publicly, where there are other people in her life to say, hey, this is wrong.
For safety, maybe I think it's a good idea. So that way, like, because I'm sure she has a lot of paparazzi around, and it'd be hard for him to like really do something. But it just sucks that that's the risk you take when you're famous. All your personal life gets put on blast like that. But I mean, I'm sure there's two sides to every story, and I'm not taking up for him by any means, but it kind of sucks for him because his rep is completely like, even if he like gets help and like really, because I do believe people can change, but his reputation is ruined.
At a time when all we're talking about is domestic violence.
Right.
Due to the NFL.
That is like a huge thing right now. So, I mean, I feel like since that happened, a lot more cases of domestic violence are coming out, and people are being more honest and realizing, hey, I can really put a stop to this. So, which is good.
Yeah.
So, I guess publicity has its pros and its cons.
Yeah.
So,
if I were through something that traumatic, the last thing I'd want is for everyone else to know about it.
Right.
So.
Right.
That's upsetting, but
all right.
Guess we're good.
Yeah, we're good. But
24 minutes, I love it.
Yeah, and next week, this one's kind of slow. I think the next ones will be kind of longer because we'll have JB and we'll have Courtney with us. So we'll have 2 other people joining us next week, hopefully. Do you want to tell them?
You guys can find me at Steve Kaufmann. That's KAUFMANN. I'm also on the Gotham After Show.
All right, guys, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Jessie Owen. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.